Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Shri and in this video we shall discuss current affairs and guess it for today, that is 25th of January 2022. Welcome to all the viewers. Let me welcome all of you who are participating in the discussion here. Hi Amlan, hi Sam, good evening Bhavani, hi Hima, welcome. Good evening UPSC Wala. We have Lokeshwar today, welcome to you. And then Kriti, hi Kriti. Ashish and Asim, good evening both of you. Very good. And then Netra, good evening. Somik, welcome back. Mamta, welcome to you. Thank you for participating, and it's great that you are getting yourself engaged in this as well. Great. Lost Soul, welcome back. And who else? Nirmal, good. Hi Kanupriya, hi Ravi, good evening. Welcome to all of you. So I have noted down whatever you people have mentioned here as a reply to my question. My question was related to the availability of freebies to people during the times of elections. What are the issues and what are the positive points? Most of you have mentioned the positives first and missed out on the second part. Both of them had to be mentioned alongside. This is one, but I appreciate your points. Now, your points are in the form of phrases of 3 or 4 words, right? So firstly, we used to write one point and then, in the chat box, another point later and the other point later. Now you have learned to write all the points together. What is required is to use some keywords now, keywords in places of these points. For example, use the word populist, use the word welfareism, use the words which are encapsulating of that phrase, and that is what becomes the keyword. We will discuss this in the featured news, and we will also discuss the question that Hima has posed in the featured news, right? And welcome Jyotish, hi Aristic, welcome to all of you. Let's begin this conversation, a very interesting one. This today's discussion has got all the articles covered from the Gazette and some additional articles. Now, before that, a small round of motivation to you all. This is a mount, right? Whenever we want to climb or scale up a mountain, we look at its peak, right? We have to achieve and scale up this mountain peak. But to be able to scale this mountain peak, if a person starts right from here, they have to take step-by-step actions to be able to come to this summit of the mountain. Is it not true? This is absolutely true for any activity that we do. Any activity, especially those which are highly ambitious targets. And we are competing against ourselves here, right? Against the nature is secondary, but against our own lung capacity, against our own willpower, against our own physical endurance. And similar is the journey of a person who is going through UPSC preparation. So when we look at a mount, now this mountain is Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, in Africa, highest mountain peak, around 6,000 meters. And once a person climbs this mountain, they experience varied climatic topography. Not only climate, varied kind of vegetations. So the top of it is frozen, and then the lower layers also present a different climate. The middle levels present a different climate and different kind of landscape altogether. Point I'm making is that once you have envisioned yourself to reach the peak, you will come across various kind of hurdles. But they're a part of the journey. It needs to be completed. And we need to respect each and every step that we have taken. Every step will matter. While our aim is focused at the summit of the mountain, every step that we take, it matters. You know why? Because see, every step, this is the 3-point, there's a rule of 3 points. 3 points while mountain climbing. 3 points have to be attached while we climb the mountain. See, this person, 3 points are attached, and once he presses his this device right here, his feet will move up. 3 points are attached at the same time. All these efforts, every step will matter. So once you want to climb a mountain, every step will count, and this is every step. This conversation, this meeting, this current affairs is one of that steps that you take every day, and we will not we will always appreciate this effort because we are learning through this. And not only this, whatever you do throughout the day that helps you achieve your dreams or climb this summit, this is important. And to just mention shortly, so this is Mount Kilimanjaro. This is one of the famous mounts of South America. This is a mount in Peru, and this is actually considered as the tallest mountain, 6,200 meters from the center of the earth. It is not Himalayas. Himalayas is highest from the mean sea level, MSL. But this is the mount that is considered as the highest from the center of the earth. You know why? Why is there a difference? Because earth is not of a circular shape. It is of a shape of a geoid. And since this is located closer to the equator, right? Ecuador, not Peru, Ecuador. And can you name the mountain? It is located in Ecuador, very close to the equator. And this is the reason, since there is this shape of the earth ensures that there is increased dimensions around the equator, and this mount from the center of the earth is the tallest mountain. Please name the mountain if you know what is the name. All right. So this is what I wanted to explain to you. Moving ahead to some of the questions that were raised to me just a few days back. Before that, one of the articles that we discussed was the disparity in the incomes level in the country, and I encountered this beautiful piece of evidence. So one piece of evidence that you can take from here is that the richest people here, richest 20%, they gained 40% of the wealth, and rest of the people, the bottom 60%, they lost some of the other wealth. The bottom 60% lost wealth, especially the last 20% lost 50% plus of wealth. This is a good indicator. This is a brilliant indicator of the changing economic policies of the government during the times of COVID. Though it seems that we are helping the poor population, but something opposite of it is happening. And the most striking factor here is the fact that the total income of households has increased with time. The net income, the total personal disposable income of households has increased with time, But this increase is not an indicator of the 60% people who have lost wealth. Can you imagine this? A great disparity here, and you should be able to use this data or quote somebody, right? Yes, Chimborazo, great guys, Spider-Man, welcome back. Absolutely correct. Ravi, Hima, Netra, Amlan, Mount Chimborazo in Ecuador. All right. Another question was there, and a beautiful question posed by one of you, Asim. Thank you for asking this question. He asked the question on the Kali River in Nepal. We discussed this issue a few days back, and he pointed out a very good point that there is an additional issue of a place called as Limpiadhura. What is it about? Right. So let's discuss this issue. Now, what happens is there is a quick history of India-Nepal relationship. India got freedom in the year 1947. Before that, India was administered by Britishers. And Britishers also wanted expansion. So did Nepal. So the king of Nepal in the 17th, 18th century, he was very ambitious to expand the horizons of his estate. And he did expand, and because of this, Britishers did fight with Nepal. And there was a Treaty of Sugauli in the 19th century, 1814 to 1816. They, had this treaty in which Nepal, of course, lost, and Nepal had to surrender. Before this time, Nepal had quite a bit of land from the lands of Satluj until the river right here, the one which flows from Sikkim. Anybody? What is the name? What is the name of the river which flows to Sikkim, and we have HEP, mega HEP at Sikkim here, right? So Nepal would claim this much area, that means the states of Himachal, Uttarakhand and Sikkim as well. This is what Nepal would claim. But after Treaty of Sugauli, it was ensured that the river Kali, Mahakali or Sharda, whatever is the name, this river is one of the ends, and this is the other end, where there would be Gandak and beyond, little beyond that. So this were the horizons for Nepal's boundary with India. This was agreed to. And Britishers also posed some military posts right here. So this was what was decided, but there were some issues here. Now one of the issues is that of Lipu Lake Pass. So what is about Lipu Lake La is that this is the tri-junction between China, Nepal and India. This tri-junction is very important because it can become a trading route between the countries. This was closed by India in 1962, considering the Chinese could attack from here as well. Why? because Chinese did attack from these kind of passes in the northeast region. So they attacked from Sela in Tawang region. Tawang is a part of India, and they attacked from here, and this is the reason that they closed this pass here. In fact, Sela was very tough to navigate. This is relatively easier because in ancient times trade did happen from here. In ancient times people also went to Lake Mansarovar trekking from here. So not only Mansarovar, but Buddhist people and Hindu people, both of them would go, right? So this was some terrain that was, and if you can look into the map very clearly here, we are talking of the region of Lipu Lekhla, right? Now the issue here is that Nepal, it was agreed that the area lying east to River Kali would belong to Nepal, and area lying west to Kali would belong to British India or later India, right? So now the issue is that when the river was flowing from here, suppose this was the map, east of this would belong to Nepal. This is what was agreed upon earlier. So area of Kalapani, area of Lipu Lake would belong to India, right? But there was another place where one parallel stream was beginning to flow, and it would merge later with the same main stream, right? This stream merger, this is one of the rivers and this is another river. Now this is what was agreed to by Britishers and Nepal right then. So this is why Britishers stationed their men, their officers here. But Nepal right now says that no, we didn't agree to this. This is the actual stream we agree to because this is the actual source of the river. This is one of the streams, right? And they are named differently, right? India says that we will accept this. We will accept Lipu Lake region. Why? Because this is the place where the river Kali originates, right? Kali originates. This is why the name Kali. This is why the name Kalapani as well. So we will accept this only. If we accept Nepal's contention, if we accept this as the origin of the river, which is beyond this particular region, if we accept this, then the area east of this complete area will belong to Nepal. This is what Nepal is claiming. Kalapani, Lipu Lake, all that. Why is Nepal claiming all this right now? See, what happened in older times after independence is that Nepal itself, these things are alleged, right? Informal relations between India and Nepal government, that all right, you station your men at these places so that we have adequate protection against China's incursion here. So that is the reason what it is said that this is the reason that India stationed men here. But India also got it in legacy from Britishers, right? On the other hand, Nepal says that no, we didn't object earlier, but we are objecting right now. What is the reason? One reason is the political turmoil within Nepal. Now the prime ministers or the presidents or the political leaders in Nepal, they are saying that we will not let India construct this area for India's development or India-China relationship because this is an integral part of Nepal. They're bringing these issues to the fore because of their own political, lesser vision or lesser foresight. They want to indulge people in these kind of international turmoils, although a relationship between India and Nepal is fair, but still they want to indulge in these kind of issues because they are diverting the attention of the local normal people towards these kind of issues. Why is it in focus right now is also because India said to Uttarakhand that India will be in some election manifesto that we will be building this complete road so that we also have religious tourism, right? So Nepal starts to claim this area. Now the names of those two places, one is Limpiadhura. Limpiadhura is the stream that Nepal says from where east of it should belong to Nepal, and Kalapani is the one. Kalapani stream is the one which India says is the actual one, beyond which, east of which should belong to Nepal. India also says Kalapani because of this name Kalapani, river Kali's name also has come up, right? So we will not accept the other names. So this is one. There are other things also. This is one of the contentions because of which the river, division is not complete and it is not understood well. There are other places also. Now this is not only about the treaty. This also relates to changing course of the river. Although the changing course of river is not as much as in the eastern rivers, for example Kosi, for example river Gandak, right? So another issue is there with river Gandak as well. since the river keeps changing the course, and that is the reason that the boundary it forms with Nepal and India, that keeps changing, and this is a matter of contention. Now this changing boundary is not only a contention at Gandak, it is also a contention at Kali. It is also a contention apart from the origin of river, right? So I explained additional point, origin, but this changing course is also a contention. There's another contention called as Beans. Now this territory, Beans, suppose this was the place. Now the river Kali was bifurcating this Beans region, and east of it was given to Nepal, because east part of any of the territory of that river would be given to Nepal. Now, since Nepal says that we will accept another stream as the head stream, and from east onwards of that will belong to us, so they are also started to claim Beans region, right? So these are the three places where India and Nepal are facing issues, and India and Nepal have a bilateral trade, legal bilateral trade of around $8 billion. Around $7.5 billion is India's trade to Nepal, and rest of it is in Nepal's trade to India. And India also happens to be Nepal's largest trading partner. All right. So why I mentioned trade is because whatever kind of contentions they must indulge in, that's fine. But since they are the trading partners, that means the relationship has to be peaceful and intact, right? So this is the issue. Thank you for asking this question. And this is how we cover another issue here, right? So if we go by Nepal's contention, they would like to claim areas up to Satluj and areas up to River Tista. Yes, that's the name. Thank you very much. All right, UPSC wala Kriti, Mamta, Asim, Spider-Man, Ravi, Netra, Amlan, great. Hi Deepshika, good evening. Hi Pooja. Good evening Pooja. I hope that you received a call from us assisting you about the PDF. So this is what is the issue. I hope it covers. Now the other issue is, we'll discuss this one. All right, getting to the issues that are in focus right now. So let's begin the conversation on the Gazette, and thank you for asking these questions and doubts, because through this comes a lot of wisdom, a lot of beautiful knowledge to all of us. Thank you, Asim, this time. Thank you others, Amlan, Babani, other people who have been asking questions. Today on Gazette, we have some very beautiful articles, one on shared parenting, the other one on six-mast extinction, of which we are also a part, and the third one is guidelines for rebuilding of the rural areas. This day in history dedicated to National Voters Day, 25th of January, and featured news on election freebie culture. We will discuss all the points that you have shared here in the featured news immediately after this video, right? So by now, since you have been participating in the rounds of questions and answers that we ask on chats, because of this, I think you would have learned at least 40 news articles through this. So great, somehow or the other we are exercising our minds. Thank you for participation. Going to help you a lot in the times to come while you start writing answers for mains. Image of the day on corals from Tahiti, right? Okay, moving ahead to terms and concepts. The 4 terms that we have for today are Kerala Bird Atlas, then Shri Ramanujacharya, South Bengal Elephant Corridor, and Aapda Prabandhan Puraskaar, Disaster Management Awards in the name of Subhas Chandra Bose. 3 editorials. One is on India's challenge in European geopolitics. The second one is on public spending, and the third one is on school education due to COVID times. Today's case is on Delhi electric vehicle policy. So let's start this conversation. The first snapshot is picked up right from the Hindu, today's Hindu, and this is on shared parenting. Now, this concept is something that should have evolved in India, but has not evolved in India. A child needs the nurture of both the parents, male and female, father and mother. But there are marriages which are broken, there are marriages which are estranged, there are marriages which are in the process of dissolution. And because of this, the child does not get the love, affection, grooming, economic, social well-being, care of both the parents. And it harms the development and grooming of child. India, as of now, has laws which actually does not promote the co-parenting. That means both the parents helping child grow or groom themselves. India does not have these laws. We have got some archaic old laws which somehow do not provide enough clarity on who should be parenting when there is an issue between the father and the mother, right? So in this regard, I would like to share with you what we have covered. So the first thing is that Punjab, Haryana High Court have advised the central government that they should introduce measures for shared parenting during these times of distress. Why so? Why particularly now? See, what has happened is because of COVID times, only urgent matters, only urgent cases have been picked up by the court, and other cases have been deferred. Because of this, many children who are in who are caught up in the issues between the parents, divorce issues or separation issues, they have not been able to meet the parents. Now the law actually states that up to 5 years, of their life, the small children, their guardians would be their father and mother, right? The usual guardian would be their father and mother, and up to 5 years, and it should be specifically mother who should groom the small child up to 5 years, and otherwise for a child it should be father and mother both, right? So these things are very, very confusing when it comes to a legal battle, right? Because who will actually take the charge of guardianship of the child, or the ownership of the property, or guardianship of the property of the child until the child grows? These become conflictory issues, and this is why a concept which has been used in the developed world, that is of shared parenting, this concept was also proposed in India by the Law Commission. They said that even when the parents are living apart or they are living distant, the children should be able to enjoy the grooming of both the parents. And then also came a concept of best interest of the child. Best interest, that both the parents should be able to share the child in the best interest of the child. And best interest of the child does not specifically mean their emotional care, that it does not specifically mean that the child love and care and primary care. These are not the primary interests. The best interest could be related to their social life as well, their comfort level as well, right? So they should not be feeling alone, or should not be stereotyped in society, social setup. They should have the economic and well-being comforts of their life. It should not be just that since the father is able to love the child more, the father must get the protection on guardianship of the child. They should be able to enjoy the best interest of the child. Now, best interest of the child is mentioned in the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Children, right? And India is a signatory to this. So India has to adopt these principles of best interest, and best interest actually in an evolved concept means shared parenting, right? This is why in use. All right. So shared parenting is an important concept, right? But right now not being implemented in a country like India. This is why, and a lot of committees have recommended this. We need to make it clear in the laws that shared parenting should be done. And despite the guardianship or custody with one specific parent, there must be visitation rights. If you have seen some movies or some series, especially European American series, they talk about visitation rights and the emotional setup in which the child has to deal with parents and with society. They also go through something called as parental alienation syndrome. If they are close to their mother, they will feel alienated with their father, and they might have extreme violent reactions with the parent they have not met. Either it could be extreme love or extreme hatred, right? And this later develops into many other manifestations when they grow up as an adult. So this is the requirement, that we provide in the best interest of the child an environment, the best interest of the child. This is the key word here, right? United Nations Conventions on the Rights of Child. All right. Okay. Good evening, Pragyani. Oh, Pooja says she is not able to make notes. Pooja, you must have received a message from Edukemy. It was from Hamna, I believe. All right. Yes, absolutely the same. Custody is with the mother, but natural guardian is both father and mother. And specifically for the age, up to the age of 5, the custody is with mother, so that she takes care and grooming of the child, right? All right. First, the second snapshot is on 6th mass extinction. This is currently underway. The 5 mass extinctions that have happened previously, they have happened not for humans, but other organisms on the earth. This has happened because of several other reasons, because of the way Earth evolved, right? So if you look into the geographical evolution of Earth, Earth was just like some other planet, and it was a huge ball of fire. Slowly and steadily degassing occurred, right? So Earth had some atmosphere, and degassing occurred, and this atmosphere was filled with carbon carbon gases that emerged from the interior of the earth. Later on, there were solar radiations and solar waves. This ensured that the whole atmosphere, it got removed, because of which another newer atmosphere developed, and this is how the earth evolved with time. Many times the earth was also hit with asteroids, right? And many times there were times when earth also revolves around the sun, right? And the way it revolves around the sun, that also is the reason for the heat that we receive from the sun. In case this distance or the obliqueness or the way earth revolves around the sun, it changes even in a small fraction, it leads to the change of amount of heat received. And because of all these factors, we have gone through 5 ice ages in the past, right? 5 ice ages. The earth became cool, cold, and then interglacial periods, and then it became warm again, and then cold again and warm again. Along with this, there were other factors because of which there have been changes in the evolution of life on earth, right? So while we see the first extinction was because of intense ice age, the other one was because of drastic oxygen dropping, the levels of oxygen dropping. And once you see the evolution, you would see that the larger animals also were evolved, and they also got extinct. So probably because of intense volcanic activity and because of the impact of asteroids, right? Next one also for the same reason, and the last one as well. Now we are undergoing the 6th mass extinction. Extinctions have always happened of various small species with time, but it has been very slow. But right now the pace at which we are going through extinction, it shows up in the kind of critically endangered list that we have of IUCN, or the critically endangered species, the vulnerable species, and the extinct in wild or extinct altogether species, right? So there is something called as background rate of extinction. Species vilupt hote hain. Vilupt means they get extinct with time, and there is a more normal rate of extinction, after which another species takes over the job of the previous species. But this rate has accelerated more than 1000 times. Many of these species have gotten extinct, and they have also caused problems to UPSC aspirants. We have to remember so many names, right? Critically endangered, endangered, and endangered, so critically, and then extinct overall. So this has been the reason for this extinction. And for you to understand, there are 2 main reasons because of which this extinction might be happening. One reason is natural, and the second one is anthropogenic, human. The anthropogenic or human factor is something that we have known about, Paris Climate Agreement, and the raising of temperature of up to 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius, which is probably not going to happen by the end of the century. This is the human reason, right? Anthropocentric. But the natural reason could be because of the factors like how Earth is revolving around the sun. These are the concepts which were earlier given by the scientists. Only for this extinction itself, but then it was later proved by the scientists again that this is the far stronger reason. It is human induced climate change. It is not nature induced, it is human induced climate change, right? So this is the 5th mass extinction that we are talking of, right? But see, this extinction may have started far before this present 200 years. We are talking of thousands of years. So this present extinction may have started because of some non-anthropogenic reasons as well. But yes, humans are also to be blamed for this. All right. So this was in news. All right. The third one is on RADPFI guidelines. These stand for Rural Area Development Plan Formulation and Implementation. This is for rural areas in India. Now see, when you see the classification of towns in our country, there are Tier 1 cities, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4, Tier 5, and Tier 6 townships, right? So townships with a size up to 1 lakh and less than 50,000, more than 50,000 and 1 lakh, Tier 1. And then we have other towns which are smaller, up to the strength of 5,000, right? So planning of these towns or village areas must be done in an integrated fashion, helped with the schemes from the government side, right? Satellite imaging, so that we are able to not only map the places but also plan the places. So let me give you an example of this, what they are trying to do. In a place, for example, this is a rural area. if a satellite is able to map, can you tell me the name of the scheme which is mapping all the places in our country, spatial mapping of the region? So if the satellite is able to map the place and they are able to spot a gram panchayat here, and if they are able to spot an area for common service centers right here, village resource center, VRC right here, and then custom hiring center right here, and Anganwadi center right here. This is the mapping of the area, right? There are places where there is farming happening. There are places where there's a river flowing. Now this has been mapped. And also the availability of infrastructure. Now through this, they will be able to understand that these are the physical resources or human resources and settlements around the township or this particular rural areas. Through this, they will be able to integrate how the roads should flow across this particular region. So roads should flow not from between the agricultural tracts, but from between the places where there is more habitation. This is one. There should be a parallel development of roadways along the waterways, right? So this is one. The planning of an urban center or development of an urban center around this area also should be organized in a way that this area should be able to cater to that urban needs. This is only an example. So economic planning, transportation planning, infrastructure development, development of the human resource potential of this region. How much can this village expand itself to be able to grow its population and the services and products it delivers? This is what has been imagined in this particular RADPFI planning and implementation, right? Now, this is something that has been already done for developed countries. The kind of water resources every region has, the kind of earth mineral resources every region has, the kind of soil, the quality of soil, not only that, the kind of human potential every region has. So once we have a geographical mapping of an area, landscape area, we will be able to, for example, in USA, we will be able to know complete detail, its history, the person who owned the land, what was the kind of land, all these particular resources and its potential and its planning as well, right? So this is what is being planned in India, and the scheme's name is Swamitra. Thank you, Amlan Netra. Beautiful, beautiful. So this is what is being planned under these guidelines. The renewed guidelines have been given, right? So they are talking of integrated, decentralized and participatory spatial planning for rural areas. Spatial connectivity through roads, public mode of transport, environmental, socio-economic plans, right? I explained it to you. And provisions of basic amenities to rural areas, right? Resilience, strategies, national highways, urban peri-urban areas, agroclimatic zones. This is how the planning will happen. Land use development. This is a great term to use. Land use development. Note it down, right? So this is how it is to be planned. And thank you very much for giving me that keyword, Swamitra. Yes, Hima, absolutely. Ashish, yes, it is for agricultural land only. And agricultural land constitutes well more than 42% in our country. And we do have fallow land also, right? So you see around 50% of the country, especially rural India, gets mapped. We are planning the rural areas here right now and how it is going to serve the whole country, right? So this is how we are trying to map this. All right. All right. So this day in history dedicated to the National Voters Day. Today is 25th of January and we've dedicated today for the voters of our country and highlighting the kind of issues that the voters face and highlighting that voting is very important. So this is why voter awareness is very, very prime. If you'd like to revise, you should get back to that particular article where we discussed that the amendment bill, right? Election amendment bill was introduced, in which we introduced one of the provisions which mentioned that the voter registration will not only happen on 1st January every year, but will happen 4 times a year every quarter, right? And this is the provision through which many youngsters will be able to get registered as voters. Crores of them every year, because India is a young country getting populated. Many people will be able to exercise this important political right. feature news for the day is on election freebie culture. We'll discuss this along with many points, understanding what is the reason for this election freebies and what is the impact of this on Indian economy, Indian society, government, right, and the people themselves, and what should be done to change this culture, or if at all this culture is decently good. We will understand this. Image of the day on rose-shaped corals. These were found to exist very close to the Tahiti Islands, a part of French Polynesian group, right, administered by France. Now, one thing for you to understand is that when this was in news for a country like Peru, it went into an ecological emergency, because there was a container ship which was transporting petroleum at Peru, and because of the tsunami kind of waves at the coast, the container spilled over some of the oil, and that oil spilled over to the coastal areas, completely devastating the ecological landscape and the kind of beauty that the coast provided. It also led to the death of many of the creatures, and this is why Peru also declared ecological emergency in its country. These are the rose-shaped corals, very close to Tahiti found and untouched. They exist very deep. This one exists very deep, around 35 to 70 meters. See, noteworthy, corals do need some sunlight. They need some sunlight so that they are able to survive. And these are the places where tiny organisms, they grow, right? And they are in a cohabitation. They are in a symbiotic relationship with other organisms. And there is something called as bleaching of corals. Bleaching of corals happens because of multiple reasons. Coral bleaching is a process by which the colorful corals, they turn into white, right, off-white color. This happens because of many factors. For example, pollution, increase in temperature, the change in concentration of salinity here, many other factors, human interventions, oil spillage, because of which the organisms which live inside, what is the name of the organism? That organism exits this place, and because of this, the symbiotic relationship that ceases to exist. All right. So the next one that we have today is the first common concept, Kerala Bird Atlas, KBA. Now, Kerala is important as a state because of certain reasons. First of all, the kind of economy it has, tourism-based economy, and then the kind of social economic development, social development it follows, that is very important, especially in the areas of health and education. It is also an important place because it generates huge wealth from the remittances which are brought to the people of Kerala. Now, this is also one place which is ecologically very sensitive, right? Part of Western Ghats. We have also understood Kasturi Rangan report, which talks of decreasing, it talks of declaring eco-sensitive regions here along Kerala, Goa, Karnataka and Maharashtra border. Now, why is it in news right now? Is because Kerala has done the first survey which is on the birds. So it has provided a Kerala Bird Atlas, through which it is going to understand the presence and the magnitude of presence of birds in the whole state, major birds. Now, through this, birds are also an indicator of the ecological richness of that particular place, and understanding what is the population is going to serve them a purpose in the coming times. What is the place where bird population is high? Where is it low? What are the reasons for that? And then they will be able to cater to the needs of ecology, right? So this is the first kind of survey that has happened in the country on the birds, and this is a noteworthy thing, right? So that is why news, Kerala Bird Atlas. The second term in news is the Shri Ramanujacharya. Why? Because we are building another statue for him. This Shri Ramanujacharya statue, all right. So this statue will be called as the Statue of Equality to be unveiled in Hyderabad. Now, I was trying to recollect the number of statues that we have declared to build. We have Statue of Unity, dedicated to whom and where? Please mention in comments. Statue of Unity, this is the first one, and this is the Statue of Equality. We also have Statue of Oneness, and we also have Statue of Peace. Badha diya na kaam. Your work is increased now, right? Zuzanthale, thank you. Polyps, thank you guys, very good. Planktons, absolutely. right? So these four statues that we are speaking of: Statue of Unity, tell me where; Statue of Oneness, tell me where; and Statue of Peace, tell me where. Statue of Unity at Kevadia in Gujarat. This is on our ex-Home Minister, right, Mr. Patel. Then we have Statue of Equality on Mr. Ramanujacharya, right, at Hyderabad. And then we have Statue of Oneness. This is the one which is going to be instituted in Madhya Pradesh, and this will be the one for Shankaracharya. We have discussed this also. And Statue on Peace, this is on a Jain saint, modern world Jain saint, and this statue is going to be unveiled somewhere in Rajasthan. All right, so do remember this. All right, so that is my news. What about Ramanujacharya? He is one of the philosophers, saints, who promoted something called as Vishisht Advaitwant. That means qualified monism, qualified non-dualism. So when Shankaracharya proposed, these were very, very, quite established philosophers, and they have their own renown. So when we had Shankaracharya, the philosophy of Ramanujacharya is only based on Shankaracharya's philosophy. For example, when Shankaracharya said that everything is one, he spoke of Brahmism, one, unity of everything in itself, right? Aham Brahmasmi, I am the Brahma, everybody, each of them. So Ramanujacharya says, and this is called as non-dualism. Everything is united into one. We can't even call it non-dual, because non-dual means existence of two. Merely refuting the existence of two means two. So he says, don't even call it as call it non-dualism. This is what he said. So similarly, Ramanujacharya derived something out of Shankaracharya's philosophy. He said that inside this unitary, we have two kinds of qualified attributes. That is, one is spiritual and another one is material in nature, right? And then comes Madhvacharya. He says that spiritual and material attributes, they are different from the God, right? So this is complete dualism. This is qualified monism, this is dualism, this is complete monism, right? I hope you understood this. This is Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, and then Madhvacharya. We also have other philosophers after this, right? But we'll not discuss them. South Bengal Elephant Corridor. Now, you must know what is the proportion or number of elephants in our country. Anybody? What is the number of elephants? Just like we have a tiger census, tiger count, just like we have a tiger, a Project Tiger, we also have a Project Elephant, right? So elephants are also important animals. They are one of the smartest animals, very large, herbivorous, and they are popular for many reasons. One of the reasons is the kind of chaos that they create, right? Matwala Hathi, as it is said, right? They listen to nobody, and if they go crazy, then they can destruct vegetation. They can also kill people. Now, this is one of the reasons why elephants have been unpopular these days. The kind of man-animal conflict that they are happening, that are happening these days. And these conflicts have risen in a state like West Bengal, specifically because of some particular reasons. Now, West Bengal, this region is supposed to have only around 3% of elephant population, hardly a couple of hundreds. But the conflicts are around 20% of the total conflicts in the country. Why so? It is because many of the conflicts happen in those areas where elephants, now these elephants are migratory in nature, right? They keep on moving. They do not live at one place. They keep shifting their locations. They don't like to stick to one place. So when they want to move these corridors, if we have established some habitation around the places where they live, so this habitation is one issue, encroachment of the elephant areas. Then if we have created roads around those areas from where there are corridors, this is an issue. Many elephants get caught up in the railway tracks, right, during the time when the train moves. So this causes their death. And there are times when they habitat near agricultural tracts, near the tea plantation, and they indulge in conflicts with humans, right? There are also issues of barbed wires or electric fences, which cause issues with animals. This is the reason why they it results in their death also, right? At times it also results in human-animal conflict. So a stat says that between 2014 and 19, over 2,400 human deaths were recorded in this particular tract in West Bengal. So that is why it is in news, and this is the reason that we need to restore this area ecologically. We need to develop elephant corridors. We need to ensure that these conflicts reduce, population management has to happen so that they don't encroach on the spaces of the jungle areas, right? This not only leads to issues with elephant, mind you, this also leads to issues of degradation of the forest, right? So remember the forest survey report that we covered 2021. This is another impact of that. The fourth term for today is Aapda Prabandhan Puraskaar Disaster Management Awards that were given to a couple of important institutions or persons. Gujarat Institute of Disaster Management was given one, and Professor Vinod Sharma, the coordinator for National Center for Disaster Management, right? So this award has been named after Subhas Chandra Bose. Noteworthy, he's also saved India from disasters, human disasters at several levels, right? Not credited as much as other freedom fighters, but yes. So the award actually gives 51 lakh rupees to an institution and 5 lakh rupees to an individual in case they get this particular award. All right. This is why it was in news. And then we also have other awards, right? We also have child awards, right? Child bravery awards that we will discuss some other day. Editorials for today. The first one is on India's challenge in European geopolitics. India is going through a challenge, no doubt, that is true as far as Europe is considered, right? So, but India is not the one which is at the focus of this challenge. India is one of the countries facing the challenge, but the focus of this challenge is Europe itself. Now, this is the image of Vice Admiral Mr. Schnoon. If somebody knows German, I don't know the exact pronunciation. It could be something similar to Schonbach. He was the chief of German Navy. He had come to India, in a summit, and he delivered a speech at IDSA in Delhi, Manohar Parrikar Institute for Defense Studies and Analysis. And this is where he got caught up in the thoda beh gaye apni speech mein. He continued speaking very, very frankly about something that related to Germany, European Union, Russia, the kind of relations USA has with European Union, and what about Germany. He expressed some views very, very frankly, because of which he later reiterated that it was a mistake having done so. These are not German stand. This is his private belief about the thing. So what did he say, and what does it talk about the particular editorial that we are going to speak about? This happened 4 days back. So he said that Mr. Putin, who is the premier of Russia, he deserved respect. And my God, giving him respect is low cost, even no cost. Even no cost, he says this. This is under quotes. He also said that Russia would never get back Crimea. Ukraine would never get back Crimea. And he also said that Putin is probably putting pressure on USA and European Union economies. See, what is the kind of pressure that right now Russia is putting on these economies, European Union and USA? First of all, Russia is not dealing with European Union. It is directly talking to USA. This is one of the irritants for European Union. European Union does not want an external participant there. An external participant which is trying to infiltrate in European Union, countries which could become a part of European Union, for example, Ukraine, or it doesn't want participation of American army in the region, right? So this is one thing. On the other hand, European Union's force itself is not strong enough. They have NATO, but NATO again, America participates here. Many countries are not, happy with each other's participation. Now, for example, countries like Poland, countries like Hungary. Now, these countries have already started to assert autonomy over European Union's parliament, over European Union's court of jurisdictions. They say, no, our laws stand more supreme. So, this is where Russia is dealing directly with some of the other countries, right now dealing with Belarus, right? Put it in its own side. Now it says that Ukraine should not become a part of NATO, and USA should not extend its outreach in the east of Asia after mid-90s only, right? After that, the extension, USA will have to withdraw. It will not conduct any kind of military exercises. It will not establish relationship with economies in the East Asia. This is what Russia has contended. USA has clearly said that we will not listen to you. And because of this, there has been increased turmoil. Every day there is news that next day there's going to be a war. And in this just gentleman, he very frankly stated his opinion, saying that Germany is not able to transfer weapons to Ukraine at this time, although they want to, but they have not. See, UK has transferred weapons, France has transferred weapons, USA has transferred weapons or assistance, but Germany has not been able to because of some third party issues. See, this is first issue. Then he also says, then there's also an issue of removing Russia from SWIFT transactions. If you remember, if you know what is SWIFT transaction, these are transactions which are approved by a consortium of central banks based in Switzerland. And if Russia is removed, then Russia will not be able to transact a lot of business internationally. And Russia has not been removed from this, right? So because of this, Ukraine is not happy. Ukraine is also not happy with the kind of speech this gentleman has given. Ukraine is not happy again with the defense weapon which Germany is not been able to provide. So this editorial says that Germany is a country which is now flipping its side, right? From becoming USA's or European Union side, it is flipping its side. Now, noteworthy to mention that this view might not be his own, it might be that of the strategic think tank, but merely stating these opinions openly has resulted in his resigning by himself. And he said, I do not feel fit to be able to administer. So this was his eventual end. What is this lesson for you aspiring civil servants? Is that personal opinions, never speak of it, right? Some of you got carried away. I remember sometimes in the conversations, never speak of personal opinions. As you get into civil services, you will be driven by the civil services codes, right? Code of ethics, code of procedures, and only PRO, people, the media representation officers only will be allowed to speak to the media, and that too, written statement, not a verbal statement, right? So what is in India's interest right now? In India's interest is the complex situation in Europe. India has utilized this complex situation in Europe previously as well. During the time of India's independence, Mr. Bose himself did seek the support of USSR. He did seek the support of Germany during those times, because these countries were having different opinion. There was no European Union then. India can seek support of all the countries, but only in the national interest, right? So India should not look at West as West and East as East. Article clearly states West is also divided, and we should seek support from all the Western regions for India's gain. And one thing more, there are numerous meetings being held between USA and Russia. Numerous meetings. The numerous meeting itself means that they don't want to fight. They want to escalate it, but they don't really want to fight a battle, right? So this is indicative of the increased pressure that these countries are putting on each other. All right. So this is the first one. The second one is on increased spendings, which India needs to do. Now, if you remember, there was a question directly asked in UPSC exam about the difference between capital and revenue expenditure, and the kind of capital expenditure and revenue expenditure that can happen. Right? I have explained this previously. Capital expenditure is the one which leads to the creation of capital, right? Which will lead to sources of revenue in the future after this year also. For example, purchasing a plot of land, right? Or building human resources assets. What are the assets? Human resources assets. For example, building a pond, building a building, right? Purchasing a vehicle. On the other hand, revenue expenditure is the one which is spent on issues, for example, giving salaries to people, right? So this is one example of it, the prime difference. The article emphasizes on India increasing its public spending, whether it be in revenue sector or capital expenditure sector. Please increase spendings. See, there are some thoughts of various governments, right? So on one hand, we have the BJP government, right? Alliance, and then we have Congress alliance. So BJP government has been said to be a government which tries to have fiscal consolidation faster. The spending should be less, they should be more efficient. Congress is more towards socialist measures, right? So ideally, this is what has been the projection of both the governments. Now, this government is more focused towards fiscal consolidation. Kaise deficit, reduction or deficit. But right now is the time to spend publicly, right? For public welfare. Economic recovery is more important, especially for the lower strata of people. And just yesterday, there has been a bloodbath in the stock market. the stock market fell 3.3% around the Sensex. The reason was the kind of overpriced stocks around the world, and the kind of news that is coming from US, that is that the Federal Reserve will start consolidating its expansion, right? So the easy money policy will be later contracted. Because of this, the kind of funds that came into India, FDI and emerging world, this will get reduced. This is the reason that we saw the issue in the stock market. But this is where the public spending must increase. Government might have more fiscal deficit. That is fine. We might not be able to meet target, but this is going to help the people, the poor people of the country. Remember the first one that I showed you about the 360-degree survey? You should be able to relate to that. The third editorial is on impact of school closure. We have covered a topic very similar to this. 17 months of school closure. This is what happened in India after the first lockdown. And there are various pockets in our country which have exclaimed a number of times that during the third wave, if the village has not been hit by COVID, allow the schools to run. But the policies were uniform. One size fits all approach was applied, because of which many schools were closed again before the third wave. Now, not only 3 waves of corona pandemic, the schools and students have survived, but also times of pollution where the schools have gotten closed. This happened a couple of times, right? When pollution increases, the schools would be closed. So this closure and opening of schools has led to many issues, especially with the children, right? So this is not about putting children at risk, because we all know that the impact of COVID on children has not been as high as it has been on the adults. And there have been reports where other countries have also initiated schools before these waves of pandemic, and it has not led to a bad impact, right? What it has actually led to is the mental health difficulties, the issues of mental health if the children doesn't go to school, right? Issues of discipline, issues of the disparity in studies, right? Especially for rural child, especially for poor child. What about the midday meal schemes? These schemes would not run if the child doesn't go to schools. Do you think that the food will be given to every home every afternoon? No. Even the prepared food, or even if it is not prepared, the raw food. No, these are not this is not the efficient India that we are thinking or idealizing right now. We don't have it right now. This has resulted in malnutrition of various children. This has also resulted in children getting into child labor. And then once it starts, child marriages. And multiple issues associated with all of this, right? In many of the countries, many of the African countries, early child marriage because of COVID has led to early pregnancies, and this has resulted into the children who are born with malnutrition, the females also getting into issues. These are the reports which have come from developing countries, and so will be the case with a country like India, right? Education is a fundamental right. Child must be given this, and this is why the governments must increase provisions, so that there must be provisions for non-stoppage performance of the schools, right? So this is the third editorial, providing a beautiful insight. Today's case study is on Delhi electric vehicle policy, and before we get into it, if you like this initiative, show some love through likes, comments and shares. These likes are your blessings. Provide input in case you find some, and do share your doubts so that we are able to serve them well, right? So do share some love through likes, comments and shares. If you subscribe to the channel, you will receive timely updates for all the kind of videos that we have on YouTube. The electric vehicle policy of Delhi government is to ensure a map online which talks about which are the places where electric vehicle recharge stations exist. Now this is a beautiful case study of governance, e-governance, and some of you had asked me of a good example of how e-governance works. This is how it works. The whole administration will be able to map the places which are there in Delhi where people could go and charge their electric vehicles. Now this is an alternative to the kind of pollution rise in Delhi, right? For an internal state, for a state which is Delhi itself, around 50% of the pollution during some times it is because of the traditional vehicles. So electric vehicles will be able to help save that kind of pollution. Not only that, people will be able to spot these places, right? Since establishment of personal electric vehicle charging station is not possible, community ones are here, right? So this is a part of digital governance initiative of the government. It enables consumers to make a rational choice and identify the cost reduction. Look at the beautiful keywords, a rational choice and cost reduction, right? Significant boost to cities' economy. All right, so this is what we have covered in the case study today, a beautiful case. It is time for a sustainable energy policy which puts consumers, environment, human health and peace first, right? So sustainable energy policy will put these first, but the current policy has put economy first, has put the producer first, the middle person first, right? Now this time it will put human health, peace first, environment first, right? So beautiful case of electric vehicle charging stations map on Delhi, right? We will quickly meet in the next video for feature news discussion, that is on the election freebies, right? So thank you for watching and being a part. Do share some love through likes, comments and shares. Let me look at the questions if there are some that you have asked me. All right. All right, UPSC wala Patel, absolutely. Akhila Patel, absolutely correct. Nirmal, yes. Netra, good. Kriti, good. Tiyasha, yes. Peace at Pali. Okay, peace at Pali. Pali in Rajasthan. All right, that is on a Jain monk. So please write them down. Write these 4 down. Right, the one on peace, monument on peace, monument on equality, monument on all these 4. Please note them down. All right, thank you. 30,000. Absolutely, Hima, Amlan, 30,000 is the number. Asim, very good. All right. That in this case, I find Germany is going for neutrality. Asim says Germany is going for neutrality. Maybe, yes, but see, Germany is the largest economy of European Union region. It is not UK, it is not France, it is Germany. So Germany has got a separate policy for incoming migration, away from what other countries have, away from what UK has. See, Germany is also one of the advanced countries which is in the mode of gaining its economic interdependence with the population, right? So Germany, yes. Nord Stream, yes, absolutely, Hima. Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline project between Russia and Germany. Russia has said that we will stop functioning that pipeline in case, there are issues. Absolutely. All right. So thank you for this participation. You like this video, share some love through this, and we will quickly meet in this second video for the feature news discussion. Thank you for participation.